courtroom hummed with a heavy stillness, not calm but suffocating, like a weight on your ribs. The clock's tick echoed, papers rustled, and the judge's chair groaned softly. Marcus Tate, 19, stood next to his public defender, hands cuffed, navy jumpsuit sagging on his frame. His gaze stayed low, silent since the arrest. In the back, his mother, Clara, gripped her purse, knuckles pale. Her eyes, bloodshot and weary, betrayed sleepless nights. She'd called every attorney she knew. No one picked up, or the fees were too steep. The judge barely glanced up, shuffling documents before speaking. In the case of Georgia versus Marcus Tate, this court finds the defendant guilty on all counts. His voice was flat, like reciting a menu. Sentencing, life without parole. No hesitation, no warmth. Clara gasped, a sound like she'd been struck. "No, please, he's innocent," she cried, rising only to collapse, her hands clawing the floor. No one moved, not the guards, not the lawyer. Marcus stood frozen, clutching a faded sketch of his mom reading by candlelight. Clara's sob cut through the room, jagged and raw, but the judge didn't blink, didn't look her way. Marcus stayed still, his face blank, the sketch creased in his grip, a pencil drawing from the night before his arrest, capturing his mother's quiet moment. A bailiff stepped up. Time to move. Marcus didn't fight, didn't speak, just let them guide him toward the exit. Clara, still on the floor, reached out, her lips trembling with silent pleas. The door shut with a heavy thud, sealing him away. As Marcus vanished through the side door, he stole one last glance at Clara, her outstretched hand shaking. Her mouth moved, maybe praying, maybe gasping for air. The courtroom barely paused, already shifting to the next case. Marcus wasn't just sentenced, he was erased, discarded like a used receipt. Before the jumpsuit, before the cuffs, he was a reserved kid with a notebook, sketching the world in quiet strokes. He and Clara lived in a cramped apartment on Elmwood Lane, simple but home. Their one-bedroom place had a sagging couch and a tiny kitchen, but for Marcus it was enough. He wasn't loud, didn't chase attention, kept to himself at school. Yet he saw everything. The way a neighbor's hand shook pouring coffee, how dusk painted the corner store gold. Those details lived in his head, spilling onto pages later. Marcus loved sketching, always had, carrying his notebook everywhere, to class, the bus, even lunch. His drawings held faces, moments, like Clara napping with a novel open. Some pages showed strangers, a cashier, a jogger. Others captured scenes, a leaking hydrant, the park's warped bench. He didn't share them, didn't need applause. Sketching was his air. But at the city library, 7 blocks from school, he felt visible. A clunky scanner sat in the corner near dusty history books. Marcus went daily, digitizing his work. Miss Evelyn, the librarian, always grinned. "Back again, Marcus? Those art schools will fight for you." She meant it, the first besides Clara to call him talented. Marcus gave a shy nod. "Thanks, Miss Evelyn." Then he'd scan portraits, landscapes, anything he loved, naming each file with care for a flash drive. His dream? The Creative Path Scholarship, a national shot at a top art program, fully funded. He knew millions applied, but he believed. When his art teacher wrote him a glowing letter, he tucked it into his notebook, carrying it like a treasure. That night he walked home slow, sketching Clara's smile in his mind, already planning his portfolio. After grabbing dinner, chips for him, blueberries for Clara, her favorite, he got home to find her sorting bills by lamplight. He handed her the berries, and her tired face softened. "You didn't forget?" she asked. "Never," he said, already sketching her in his head. The way her fingers traced a receipt. Her brow creased with focus. He didn't show her the drawing yet, saving it for his scholarship file in a folder he'd labeled Family. It was his quiet promise to make her proud. It was a Wednesday, late afternoon, the kind of day where sunlight feels like a warm hand on your shoulder, making you forget trouble's near. Marcus finished scanning at the library. Everything perfect, files checked twice. Notebook under his arm, he headed home but stopped at Lopez's Market. He picked chips, a soda, and blueberries for Clara, $7.12 total. "Big project?" Mr. Lopez asked. Marcus nodded. "Scholarship stuff." Smiling, Lopez bagged his items. Marcus stepped outside, unaware the world was about to tilt. Tires screeched. 2 cop cars swerved up, no sirens, just raw presence. Lights flashing, doors slamming. "On the ground!" a voice barked. Marcus froze. "Hands out now!" Rough hands grabbed him before he could blink, yanking his arms. The bag hit the pavement. Blueberries split, juice streaking like blood. His notebook fell, pages flapping, sketches smudging. Face down on concrete, breath gone, he felt cuffs snap tight. Young black male, green jacket, matches the suspect. An officer muttered, as if that sealed everything. Marcus's cheek burned against the pavement. He wanted to speak, to say he'd been at the library, that Miss Evelyn could vouch, but Clara's voice echoed, "Stay still, stay alive." So he didn't move. An officer searched him. Chips crunched under boots, soda rolled away, blueberries bled into cracks. His notebook lay open. A sketch of Clara, laughing, now torn. "Robbery on Pine," one cop said. Witness saw a guy in a green jacket. No one asked Marcus's name, checked his bag, or listened. "You match the description," an officer snapped, like that was the whole story. Marcus tried, "I was at the library. Save it for the station," another cut in. No ID check, no questions. They shoved him into the cruiser, a hand pressing his head down. Through the window, he saw his notebook, pages fluttering like wounded birds. The car pulled away, leaving it behind. He wasn't running, wasn't hiding, but it didn't matter. They'd already written his ending, and he fit the part. Marcus met his public defender, Mr. Coleman, minutes before the hearing. Faded suit, distracted eyes, Coleman skimmed a thin file. "Anything to say?" he asked, barely looking up. Marcus hesitated. "I was at the library. Miss Evelyn saw me. There's footage." Coleman nodded, half listening. "We'll try." The courtroom doors opened. Inside, it was sparse. No jury, just a bored bailiff, a clerk, and Judge Harold Vance on the bench. Marcus, still cuffed, wore a too-big suit. Clara trembling behind him, her hands knotted tight. The hearing moved fast. "Docket 1842B, People versus Marcus Tate," the clerk announced. The prosecutor, a sharp woman in gray, stood without glancing at Marcus. In 4 minutes, she laid it out. A grainy pawnshop camera still, a smudge-proof glove in his bag, used for sketching, not crime, and a partial fingerprint. Coleman rose, voice unsteady. "My client's a student, no record, at the library during the robbery." Judge Vance barely blinked. "Witnesses?" "Not yet, Your Honor," Coleman mumbled and sat. Marcus spoke once, voice low. "Please, I wasn't there. Ask Miss Evelyn." The prosecutor snapped, "This isn't a speech class." Silence swallowed him. Judge Vance didn't react, didn't ask about Evelyn, didn't look his way. At the clerk's desk, Sarah Mendoza typed, her fingers steady but her gut uneasy. She'd worked under Vance for years, knew his rhythm, quick, cold, final. Yesterday, she'd seen files, a library camera log, a glove-size mismatch. Now they were gone, replaced by a thinner folder. Sarah double-checked the system, heart sinking, files vanished, no trace. She couldn't speak, not here, not now. Judge Vance leaned forward. "The evidence is sufficient for trial. Bail denied." His gavel fell, sharp as a blade. Marcus glanced back at Clara, but the bailiff tugged him toward the exit. Clara's lips parted, soundless, her eyes locked on her son. Vance never looked at Marcus, not once, as if he'd already faded from the room, a ghost in a script already written. It wasn't a hearing. It was a machine, grinding through motions, spitting out verdicts. Marcus's truth didn't stand a chance. The system had decided before he walked in. 3 weeks later, he sat in juvenile detention, staring at beige walls, the hum of lights constant. Time didn't flow, it crawled. Clara hadn't visited. She couldn't afford the trip, and calls were rare. Marcus clutched a stubby pencil, sketching on scraps, trying to hold on to something, his mom's smile, the library's quiet, anything from before. During phone time, a guard nudged him. One call, hurry up. Marcus's hands shook as he dialed. Not Clara. She couldn't pay for collect calls. Instead, he punched in a number she'd taught him years ago, one tied to a man who'd sent postcards until Marcus was 9. He'd never called it, but now he did. In D.C., Attorney General Nathan Brooks was mid-speech, vowing justice reform. His phone buzzed, then again, unknown number. Something made him pause, step aside, and answer. "This is Nathan Brooks. Who's this?" A pause, then a voice, young but worn. "It's me, your son, Isaac." Nathan's breath caught. He hadn't heard that voice in a decade, hadn't seen the boy since he was a kid. "I need help," Isaac said, voice steady but thin. Nathan stepped into a quiet hall, away from cameras. "Where are you?" "Fulton County, Georgia, juvenile lockup." "What happened?" Isaac swallowed. "They say I robbed a pawn shop. I didn't. They won't listen. They gave me life, no parole," Isaac added, voice cracking. Nathan leaned against the wall, his tie suddenly too tight. The hallway's hum closed in, cold and sharp. He'd built a career on justice, climbed to the top, but his son, was caged. "Hold on," he said, softer than he meant. "I'll figure this out." He hung up, staring at nothing. Every speech, every policy he'd championed felt hollow now. The system he trusted had swallowed Isaac whole, and Nathan hadn't seen it coming. That night, Nathan sat alone in his office, lights dim, suit rumpled. He opened his laptop, fingers steady but heavy. Tate, Isaac, Case 987JD, Fulton County. Files loaded, sluggish, revealing cracks. A time-stamped library photo now missing. A fingerprint report altered overnight. Judge Vance's name repeated in case after case. Quick trials, harsh sentences, mostly young black men. Nathan's jaw tightened. The system wasn't broken. It was built this way. And Isaac, his quiet boy with a sketch pad, was its latest casualty. Nathan didn't sleep. His office, dark except for a desk lamp, felt like a tomb. He dug deeper, pulling case files on Isaac, Marcus Tate in the system. A traffic cam image, supposedly showing him near the pawn shop, had pixelated edges, timestamps off by hours. The glove's match was a lab rewrite. Initial notes called it inconclusive. Nathan emailed his tech lead, then checked Judge Vance's history. Dozens of cases, mostly black teens, sentenced in days. Each file screamed betrayal, not of justice, but its promise. By dawn, Nathan's floor was a map of printouts, case logs, altered reports, patterns no one could miss. He knew exposing Vance meant unraveling more than one judge. It'd torch his career, every reform he'd pushed, every handshake he'd earned. But Isaac's voice, cracked, desperate, looped in his head. He called Dr. Ellis, his old law professor, now retired in Virginia. They met at a diner near DOJ, no aides, no cameras. Nathan's voice was low, raw. If it was your kid, Ellis, what did you do? Ellis sipped his tea, eyes steady. I'd remember why I studied law. If the system failed my son, I'd tear it apart, brick by brick. Nathan nodded, the words sinking deep. That night, he slipped into DOJ's back entrance. No fanfare, just intent. He called 4 young attorneys. Hungry, unscarred by politics. Leah Kim, tech law. Devin Harris, criminal defense. Carla Ortiz, civil rights. Malik Young, federal procedure. They met in a dim conference room, blinds shut, phones off, ready to dig where others wouldn't. Nathan laid it out plain. This stays here. We're investigating Judge Harold Vance. Every case he's touched in a decade. Start with Isaac Tate. He slid them flash drives, labeled only by shape. Look for corruption, buried evidence, anything off. You report to me, no one else. Leah raised an eyebrow. Grounds? Nathan's jaw tightened. You'll see it. Fast trials, silenced kids, records that vanish. He'd climbed the system's ladder to its peak, but saving his son meant breaking that ladder rung by rung. Sarah Mendoza wasn't built for rebellion. A court clerk for 6 years, she thrived on order. Type fast, stay quiet, don't rock the boat. But Isaac's face, calm and young, haunted her. She'd seen Vance's pattern, rushed dockets, missing files, kids like Isaac buried. Late one night, she typed an email, no name attached. I have proof, memos, deleted logs, meet me, no cameras. She hit send, heart pounding, then regretted it. But it was done. Isaac wasn't just a case, he was a kid, and she'd seen him. 2 days later, Sarah sat in a sleepy cafe near downtown, clutching a worn satchel. Outside, a spring light glinted off slow cars. Leah Kim and Devin Harris walked in, sharp but careful, spotting her instantly. Sarah didn't speak, just slid a USB across the table. Original cam logs, internal notes, timestamps, she whispered. Vance grabbed Isaac's file early, no oversight. Devin frowned. Why him? Sarah's voice dropped. His cousin runs Oakridge Juvenile, where Isaac's held. Conflict of interest buried deep. Her hands shook, betraying her calm. Leah leaned in. Why risk this? Sarah paused, then pulled a crumpled sketch from her pocket. Isaac's, left on the courtroom bench. It showed her at her desk, focused, human. He drew this, she said softly. Saw me when no one else did. I can't let them erase him. Her voice cracked. Someone trashed my place last week, left my sister's visa papers scattered, a warning. Devin's eyes narrowed. They're scared. Sarah nodded, hollow. I'm not brave, but I'm done staying silent for them. Back in detention, Isaac's world was gray. Walls, lights, time itself. But something stirred. He started sketching again, not on scraps, but in his mind first. During laundry, he met Reggie, a hulking guy with a soft laugh, who talked about his son's soccer games. Isaac drew him, capturing his crooked smile. Then came Ty, who hummed jazz while sweeping, and Mateo, who missed his mom's tamales. Each sketch held a piece of them. Hope, memory, proof they weren't just numbers locked away. Isaac worked fast, pencil stubs smearing his fingers. His cellmate, Jay, quiet but sharp, slipped him real paper one day. 5 creamy sheets, library contraband. Draw quick, Jay whispered. They watch you. Isaac nodded, sketching Reggie's son mid-kick, Ty's hands drumming air. Guards lingered too long now, eyes on his papers. During tutoring, he passed an envelope to Miss Roberta, the volunteer teacher, no label, just truth scrawled on it. Inside were his drawings, each a voice shouting what the walls tried to silence. Weeks later, Isaac's sketches spread. First, local art groups shared them, then online forums, then activists. They weren't just art. They were proof of lives, captioned with fragments. Reggie's, My boy's gonna win state. Ty's jazz keeps me free. A portrait of Mateo, eyes distant, read, Mom's cooking waits for me. Social media lit up, Inside Truth trended. Lawyers tweeted links, artists painted murals, a Chicago gallery planned a show. Isaac's pencil had cracked open a conversation no cell could contain, and it was growing louder. Isaac heard nothing in detention, no phones, no news. But one day, a new guy, fresh from intake, slipped him a note during yard time. Scrawled in pen, Your drawings are out there. People see us now. Isaac read it twice, folding it into his shoe. Alone in his bunk, he whispered, Not to Jay or the guards, but to the air. You can cage me, but not what I make. His sketches weren't just lines, they were keys, unlocking stories the system tried to bury. Nathan's team worked nights, sifting Vance's cases. Leah found a pattern. Evidence logs edited post-trial, always favoring conviction. Devin uncovered payments linking Vance's cousin to Oakridge's budget hikes. Carla traced dismissed appeals, all young men, all black or brown. Malik flagged Vance's dockets, rushed beyond protocol. Each thread tied to Isaac's case. A tampered video, a glove mislabeled evidence. Nathan barely slept, haunted by Isaac's call. He'd built a life on law's promise, but now saw its teeth. Sharp, aimed at his son, and others like him. Sarah Mendoza's USB was gold, raw memos, untouched footage, Vance's handwritten notes shifting Isaac's case to his desk. Leah cross-checked. The library camera showed Isaac scanning art at the robbery's time. Devin found an email, Vance's cousin, Oakridge's director, pushing for high-profile transfers. Carla's stomach turned. It wasn't just Isaac. Dozens of kids funneled to detention for profit. Malik built a timeline. Vance cherry-picked cases, buried contradictions. Nathan stared at the proof, jaw tight. This wasn't a glitch. It was a machine, chewing up kids like his son. In detention, Isaac kept drawing, despite the guards' stares. He sketched Jay now, leaning against the bunk, quoting old rap lyrics with a grin. Each portrait felt like defiance, a way to say, "We're here." Miss Roberta smuggled more paper, 3 sheets, crisp, rare. "They're talking about you out there," she whispered once, eyes bright. Isaac didn't ask how, he just drew faster. His latest showed Reggie, head bowed, with, "He dreams I'll coach again." Every line pushed back against the walls closing in. Outside, Isaac's art became a movement. A mural rose in Atlanta, Ty's face, eyes alive, captioned with his jazz quote. Protesters carried prints, chanting, "See us, free us." A lawyer's thread on X went viral, linking Vance to Oakridge's funding. Art schools shared Isaac's scans, calling him a voice unbroken. Nathan saw it unfold from D.C., screens glowing with his son's work. Pride warred with dread. He'd expose Vance, but at what cost? The system didn't forgive those who flipped its script. Sarah faced fallout. Her apartment was hit again, drawers dumped, nothing stolen but her brother's work visa torn in half. She taped it together, hands shaking, and kept working. At the cafe, she met Leah again, passing another drive. "Vance's cousin got bonuses per inmate," she whispered. "Isaac's case was a favor." Leah's eyes hardened. "We'll bury them." Sarah clutched Isaac's sketch, her at her desk, alive in his lines. "He saw me," she said. "I owe him this fight." Isaac sensed the shift, though no one told him outright. Guards watched closer, but inmates nodded his way, respect in their eyes. He drew a new face. Miss Roberta, her glasses slipping, captioned, "She taught me words can fight." Jay slid him a pencil stub one night. "They're scared of you, man," he said. Isaac didn't smile, just sketched. A boy he'd never met, running free, no cuffs. His art wasn't just his anymore. It carried everyone's hopes, slipping through bars like whispers. Nathan's team hit pay dirt. Vance's emails, coded but sloppy, tied him to Oakridge's expansion. Leah decrypted a server log, erased footage resurfaced, showing Isaac at the library. Devin found a whistleblower, a retired cop, confirming Vance's fast-track deals. Carla drafted a DOJ complaint, naming Isaac's case as the spark. Malik mapped Vance's network. Judges, wardens, all profiting. Nathan read every word, Isaac's face in his mind. He'd sworn to uphold the law, but now he'd rewrite it for his son and the silenced. Sarah didn't sleep easy. She'd crossed a line, and shadows felt heavier now. But Isaac's sketch stayed in her pocket. A reminder. He'd seen her, so she'd see him through. She met Devin at a park, handing over Vance's old calendar. Meetings with Oakridge execs circled. They planned it, she said, voice low. Isaac was a pawn. Devin nodded, jaw set. We're close. Sarah exhaled, shaky but sure. She wasn't a hero, just a clerk who'd chosen to speak, and that was enough. In detention, Isaac's sketches grew bolder. He drew the yard now, guys playing cards, laughing, human. One showed Jay, fist raised, with, I'm still here. Ms. Roberta brought news, hushed. Your art's on walls, Isaac. He didn't believe her, not fully, but kept drawing. A guard confiscated a page once, but Isaac didn't stop. He hid his best work, passing it to Roberta in a book. Each sketch was a brick, building a bridge from his cell to a world waking up. The movement swelled. In D.C., a gallery hung Isaac's scans, each frame packed with crowds. X-posts exploded. Hashtag Inside Truth hit millions. A law prof blogged Vance's paper trail, sparking DOJ whispers. Murals spread to L.A., Chicago, faces of Reggie, Ty, staring down streets. Isaac's library scans, saved on that flash drive, became icons. Nathan watched, torn. His son's art was changing minds, but the fight wasn't won. He prepped his team knowing Vance's fall would shake the system he'd once called home. Isaac stayed unaware, locked in gray walls, but during library hour an older inmate slipped him a folded scrap. Your drawings are loud, kid. They're waking people up. Isaac traced the words, tucking the note into his sleeve. He didn't draw that night, just sat, feeling the shift. His pencil wasn't just his anymore. It was Reggie's laugh, Ty's hum, Jay's dreams. You can't erase us, he murmured, not loud but certain. In a place built to break souls, Isaac was rebuilding them, line by line. The Capitol hearing room smelled of wax and ink, sunlight slicing through tall windows. Nathan Brooks stood at the podium, not as Attorney General, but as Isaac's dad. No notes, just a thick file he opened slowly. Pages showed rushed trials, maxed sentences, black teens vanishing into cells. He clicked a remote. Isaac's sketches filled a screen. Reggie's tired eyes, Ty's jazz hands, a kid with a toy, captioned, She waits for me. Senators shifted, faces tight. Nathan didn't shout. The drawings screamed for him. Outside, D.C.'s streets roared. Protesters lined the steps, signs high, Justice for Isaac, end corrupt courts. Students stood silent, holding Isaac's art aloft. On the courthouse wall, a projector beamed his notebook's pages, graphite glowing in dusk. News split screens. Nathan's steady voice versus Isaac's sketches, each a story of survival. X buzzed, Vance exposed, system cracked. A mural in Philly showed Jay's fist, captioned, Still here. The fight wasn't Isaac's alone now. It was everyone's, spilling from cells to sidewalks, demanding to be seen. Nathan kept talking, voice low but unyielding. I thought the system could heal itself, that time fixed wrongs. He scanned the room, eyes locking on senators. But for kids like my son, time's a thief. He flipped a page. Vance's sentencing stats, 95% max terms for black teens. Another click. Isaac's sketch of Miss Roberta teaching behind bars. "These aren't just drawings," he said. "They're proof we've failed." The room stayed quiet, but outside, chants grew. Isaac's name, Reggie's, ties. A tide no wall could hold back. The nation watched. CNN ran inside truth. Art sparks reform. The Times wrote, "Teens' sketches shake justice." NPR aired Ty's jazz quote, his face sketched mid-song. Protesters swelled from Atlanta to Seattle, prints of Isaac's work in every hand. A law school blog mapped Vance's ties, Oakridge, Cash, Cousins. Nathan didn't stop at Vance. He named the system's rot, profit-driven cells silenced kids. His voice cracked once, saying Isaac's name. He wasn't just fighting for his son now, but for every face Isaac had drawn. In detention, Isaac felt a shift, subtle but real. Inmates whispered during meals. Guards avoided his eyes. He drew anyway, a new sketch, Jay laughing, captioned, "He taught me to stay loud." Miss Roberta slipped him a note. "Your art's changing things." He tucked it away, sketching a kid he'd seen in the yard, eyes bright despite cuffs. His pencil moved faster now, each line a shout. He didn't know the world was listening, but he felt it, like air before a storm breaks wide open. The appeals court was different. Clean light, no flickering bulbs. Judge Elena Torres presided, her gaze sharp but warm, a defender of the forgotten. She opened the session. "We now review Marcus Tate's appeal." Isaac sat, not alone. Civil rights lawyers flanked him, Clara and Nathan behind. Evidence unfolded. Faked footage, Vance's cousin's bank records, rushed dockets. Sarah Mendoza testified, voice warped for safety, exposing Vance's late-night file swaps. "He knew Isaac was innocent," she said, steady now, "and chose to bury him anyway." The room held its breath. Sarah's words landed hard. She detailed Vance's moves, cases rerouted, logs erased, all to fill Oakridge's beds. Isaac's lawyers showed library footage, clear as day, him scanning art when the robbery hit. A glove report, inconclusive, turned match, surfaced too. Judge Torres listened, her pen still, eyes on every page. Clara gripped Nathan's hand, her nails biting skin. Isaac sat straight, sketching in his mind. Not the court, but his mom's face, soft with hope. This wasn't Vance's room. Here, truth had a chance to breathe. Judge Torres turned to Isaac, her voice kind, not clipped. "Mr. Tate, anything to say before I rule?" He stood, thin but steady, glancing at Clara, then Nathan, then the open windows. "I didn't want to be a cause," he said quietly. "I just wanted to draw. But if my art helped anyone, maybe it's enough." He sat, heart pounding. Torres nodded, her face unreadable but human. Clara's eyes glistened. Nathan's jaw twitched. The room waited, air thick with what came next. Torres spoke, clear and firm. "Given clear evidence of misconduct and violated rights, this court overturns Marcus Tate's conviction. You're free, Mr. Tate." No cheers, just Clara's soft sobs muffled in her hands. Isaac exhaled, long and slow, like he'd forgotten how. Nathan's shoulders eased, but his eyes stayed sharp. Vance was one man, not the system's end. Isaac stood, cuffs gone, and looked at his mom, her smile breaking through tears. The gavel fell, not a slam, but a release, opening a door long locked. That night, Isaac sat in his old room on Elmwood Lane. The walls held faded band posters, his shelf dusty but untouched. The quiet wasn't heavy now, it was light, full of space. He pulled a blank sheet from his bag, pinned it to the wall, clean and waiting. No pencil yet, just possibility. Clara knocked, holding blueberries. "You're home," she whispered. He nodded, sketching her in his mind. Alive, here. The world had tried to erase him, but Isaac Tate was just beginning. Outside, number inside truth didn't fade. Murals stayed up. Reggie, Ty, Jay, their faces eternal now. Law schools taught Isaac's case. DOJ opened probes. Nathan stepped back, letting younger voices lead but never forgot Isaac's call. Sarah Mendoza quit the court, started a blog sharing clerk stories. Isaac drew again, not for courts, but for himself. Clara, laughing, the library's glow. His art wasn't a weapon now, just a gift. He sent Miss Roberta a sketch, her teaching captioned, "You gave me wings." Isaac's notebook grew, pages filling with life. Kids from the yard, Clara cooking, even Nathan, distant but trying. Galleries called. He said no, keeping his work free. One sketch went viral. A boy, uncuffed, running toward light, captioned, "We're still here." Clara framed it, hung it by the couch. Isaac smiled, sketching her as she hummed, berries on the table. They'd tried to silence him, steal his name, but now the world heard Marcus Tate, loud and clear, through every line he drew. Isaac's story isn't done. It lives in every mural, every chant, every kid who picks up a pencil. Don't let it stop here. Share his truth, pass it to someone who needs it. Follow True Tales for more stories of grit and heart. Your voice keeps them alive. One kid, one sketch, one fight at a time. Isaac didn't just survive. He reshaped the world, proving no cell can hold a soul that dares to draw, to speak, to be seen. He's free, and so are we. The courtroom's heavy air still clung to Marcus Tate's story, a 19-year-old kid whose pencil defied a system rigged to erase him. From the concrete chill of Oakridge Juvenile to the glow of a D.C. hearing room 700 miles away, his sketches, Reggie's crooked smile, Ty's jazz hands, cracked open a nation's conscience. 2 lessons burned through his fight, sharp as a gavel's fall. First, truth doesn't shout. It whispers, patient but relentless. Marcus didn't scream his innocence on that Georgia sidewalk, blueberries bleeding 3 feet from his cuffed hands. He drew, quiet lines of Clara laughing, Jay dreaming, until those whispers became a roar, murals rising 20 feet high in Atlanta, shaking DOJ's marble halls. One kid's notebook, 8.5 by 11 inches, toppled Judge Vance's lies, proving even a whisper can break stone if it won't quit. Second, seeing others keeps you human, even when bars try to strip it away. Marcus saw Reggie's hope 10 feet across the laundry room, sketched Miss Roberta's glasses slipping 2 inches down her nose, and gave them back their names. His art, smudged on paper worth less than $1, carried their stories 3,000 miles to galleries, to protests, to Clara's trembling hands. In a cell 6 by 8 feet, he refused to let the system blind him to souls around him. That choice, to see, to draw, lit a fire no guard could douse, spreading 500 miles from Elmwood Lane to Capitol Steps. Marcus's story isn't just his, it's a warning, a spark. Truth will find its way, and seeing each other's humanity, really seeing, can tear down walls thicker than steel. His pencil still moves, daring us to pick up ours. What's one way Marcus's story inspires you to fight for truth or see others' humanity? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and comment to join the conversation. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more powerful stories like Marcus's, each one packed with lessons to spark change and lift us up. Your support fuels these tales, bringing more value to our community every week. Let's keep the fire burning.